ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां दयाकरं दयाकारं दान्तं धर्मप्रवर्तकं प्रणमामि दयानन्दं मदाचार्यवरं परम्. Is that door locked? Back door? Somebody is trying to come in, but they can't come in. If it is locked, please don't lock. Yeah. It's open? Yeah. Okay. Om Apyayantu Mamangani Vakpranashchakshushrotramatho Balamindriyani cha sarvani Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam Maham Brahma Nirakuryam Mama Brahma Nirakarot Anirakaranamastvanirakaranam me astu Tadatmani nirateya upanishatsu dharmaste mayi santu Te mayi santu. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. 29th mantra or the 4th mantra, whatever it is, in this section. Tasyaisha adeshaha yadetad vidyuto vyadyutada iti it Nyamimishada Ityadhidaivatam. Teaching centered on the Devas, meaning using the Devas as the example, there is the teaching both for the Devas and for who? Us. For us also the same teaching is there. Teaching centered on the Devas, meaning the whole story, the Devas were made to be the example, and then this is the teaching centered on them. So here the example of lightning is given. Vidyut, Vidyotanam. Vidyotanam, it should be Vyadyut. Vyadyuta is not a word, it is Chandasam. Vidyutaha Vidyotanam Iva. So this Brahman is like what? This Brahman is like lightning. Just like Yaksha. Yaksha disappeared like a flash of lightning, resplendent, shining, but then what? Gone. Already all gone. And so this Brahman is likened to lightning. It is likened to lightning. Why is it likened to lightning? Because it is resplendent, and then the moment you go towards it, what happens? It's gone. And really speaking, you can't see lightning. You can only see its shadow, you can only see the brightness under the shadow of the clouds. And When you see the lightning without the clouds, if you have an occasion, then what happens? The eyes automatically close. They don't consult you. Now, is this brilliant enough for the eyes to take? Should I close or should I not? They don't consult you. If they waited to consult, then there would not be any sight afterwards. Immediately you close. This signifies two things. One is Brahman is not and can never be an object. And then second is that the Brahman is the truth of oneself. So basically, when faced with the lightning, what does the person do? Close the eyes. Similarly, when you go to the temple, the person goes all the way from Rameshwaram all the way to Badrinath, Kedarnath. And then you stand there and what do? Close the eyes. You came all the way to see Bhagavan, but then confronted with Bhagavan, what do? You close the eyes. It's an inside affair. It's an inside job. That's another reason the eyes close. So, yat etat, this swarupa of the yaksha is like the brilliant lightning which you cannot gaze directly. You cannot gaze directly, meaning it cannot be objectified. And the eyes close as though in response to the understanding that it is me. The Bhagavan I want to search for is where? Here, centered on me. Suddenly what has happened? The Adhideva has become Adhyatma. This is the beauty of the whole teaching here. And then it is also likened to lightning because it's like it disappears very quickly, and similarly the understanding of Brahman as an object immediately disappears. If you try to objectify it, it disappears. It just goes away. It is not there because it is not an object. And the same thing happened to Indra. And Indra and lightning are closely related because Indra's Ayudha weapon is supposed to be like Vajra, is supposed to operate with lightning-like speed and has a lightning-like shine. But if he thought that he could use the Vajra to gain Brahman, Brahman is like the grandfather of this Vajra, more brilliant and more elusive because it is not an object. And if it is not an object, what is it? It is neither subject nor object. It's the truth of the subject and the object, that which informs the subject and object without being either subject or object. This is what Indra had to understand. And for that understanding, somebody had to come in the form of Ishvara, in the form of goddess Uma. The teacher of Brahma Vidya has to come and say, this is not something you can objectify. It is you. It is your own Swarupa. And why is it your own Swarupa? Because you can, because it is not never away from you. It's never away from you. And so therefore, this is what the Devas understood. So, let's see if we have left anything out in this mantra. Nyami Mishada. So then the Plutaswara is Upamarthe. Upamarthe Plutaswara, we saw that. And so iti means this is the teaching. Then there is one it. Iti, it means and. It here means cha. Chakararthe it. So the it becomes in because it is followed by Nyami Mishat. Sandhi takes place, but actually there is a it hidden there. Iti it Nyami Mishada iti Vyadyutada iti. That section is complete. And then it means and. Furthermore, Nyami Mishada. Nyami Mishada means in the blink of an eye. How did the yaksha disappear? In the blink of an eye, the yaksha appeared. In another blink of the eye, the yaksha disappeared. And what is the truth of the yaksha? The truth of the yaksha is that which neither appears nor disappears. Yaksha means Sagunam Brahma, with name and form, for the purposes of teaching, for the purposes of upasana, and for all the spiritual romantics out there who want to have darshan of Bhagavan. Darshan is important because this is how everybody comes to the spiritual realm. I want to see Bhagavan. I want to know Bhagavan. Even Arjuna had that in 11th chapter, and he was cured of his darshanitis. He was wanting to have darshan. He was cured of that after understanding that he cannot see Bhagavan as separate from himself, not ever, ever, ever. And so here, this is a very important teaching. Nyami Mishada, again, just like the eye blinks, both in response to this resplendent form whose truth could not be assimilated. You kind of saw the form in a flash, and in a flash it disappeared, and then one's own reactions are given here. In the latter part of the mantra, the eyes closed and opened, and in that wink of an eye, in that blink of an eye, everything had happened. What had happened? The attempt to objectify Brahman had happened, and the giving up of the objectification also happened. Why? Because in the blink of an eye, when yaksha was gone, there was nothing to objectify. What can you objectify? The yaksha disappears as a teaching. In the form of the teaching, the yaksha disappears. Why does the yaksha disappear? Because it is not a matter for the eyes. Then what is the Brahman the subject matter of? Now, what is Brahman? Brahman is chakshushas chakshuhu. And this is a very nice contrast. This chakshu, the pair of eyes which tried to grab on to Brahman, see Brahman as yaksha, and then write down the characteristics and categorically understand Brahman, that eye blinks. That eye blinks in connection to that form, and it's startled and it blinks. And then, but the chakshushas chakshuhu, the eye of the eye, never blinks. Very interesting. If the chakshushaha chakshuhu also blinked, also said Nyami Mishada, then there would be no teaching at all. Consciousness is present, ever present, all pervasive, and is the seer of everything, is the seer of the seer, and it is called aluptadrik, a seer without any absence, a non-absent, ever-present seer. That is the nature of the eye of the eye. Aluptadrik means a pair of eyes without eyelids. Even if you train your eyelids like this, there was one Baba who used to sit in the near this Lakshman Jhula, and he had trained himself never, ever, ever to blink. He had trained himself. He would sit like this. See how easy it is. You don't have to train yourself. Anybody can do it. With the sankalpa, you can do it. You can train yourself not to blink, big deal. What is there in blinking? You can train yourself. But that's how he made a living, because he would have a cloth in front of him, and they would just go like this, they would go like this in front of the eyes. Still he would not blink. He was sitting like this in chin mudra, and as though in a trance, but the eyes were open, and not only open, but unblinking eyes. Maybe he had some eye drops after everybody left. He went to his kutia and put some refreshing drops. Like these people who wear, what is that called? Contact lenses. There is some drops you can put so the eyes don't dry out. So maybe he had some drops, Ayurvedic, allopathic, some kind of drops, we don't know. But that's not the example. But I think he got this idea from the Upanishad itself, which describes Brahman as alupta drik, an eyeball without eyelids. Because even if I train myself not to blink, the eyelids are there and it's a reflex. A small fruit fly can come in the front of the eye and the eye will spontaneously blink. It doesn't consult you. Heavy light can come that is injurious to the eyes. Eyes will blink. So therefore, even in that blink, you miss something. You miss something. That's why you say, in a blink of an eye, the pickpocket came and did what? Gave me instant vairagya from my possessions. You can say, in a blink of an eye. I was looking at him only, but then the eyes just blinked, and in that blink was enough for him to do his job and go away, one can say. But here, the Atma, Brahman here, Brahmatma, does not miss a single thing. No missing. Why does it not miss? Because it doesn't have eyelids. No eyelids, no blinking. No blinking, no absence. Alupta drik means in its presence everything happens and it does not miss a single thing. We have to contrast this. Iti it nyamimishada, it is just chakshuhu, and then chakshushash chakshuhu is that which never blinks. Cannot blink. Why? Because it sees everything, but then it is never absent. It is never absent. In any situation, its hallmark is that of all-pervasive ever-presence in everything as everything. So this concludes what? The Upadesha, the teaching given to the Devas by who? By the teacher, by Brahman himself, by Yaksha himself. And then let's not forget, this is being narrated by the teacher in the Upanishad to the students in the Kenopanishad. How do we know there are students? The teacher gives a quiz. Don't forget the quiz. Who knows Brahman? Me. If you say me, what do you know? Nothing. You know enough. How much do you know? You know as much as is there as much as is there as a small dust ball. Oh, maybe the correct answer is, I don't know Brahman. Teacher, I don't know Brahman. You don't even have to speak. From your face I can make out. You don't know Brahman. Sit down. Keep quiet. It's better when you don't talk. And so, we see the interaction between the teacher and the students, and we infer that both are there, even though neither of them is named on purpose. Because this Upanishad delivers a punch, packs a punch, as they say. Packs a punch means what? It is very effective. It effectively gives its message due to the anonymity of the teacher, of the students. Because of this anonymity, because the teacher and the students are not named, there is not a particularity around them. This we have to see. Otherwise what happens? We get sucked into the story. Oh, the teacher's name is Pippaladaha. Let's derive that. Let's do the Vyutpatti in Sanskrit. Pippalam atti iti Pippaladaha, the one who lives only off berries. So that it becomes a distraction. Why did he eat only berries? Then we have to keep asking and it goes there. But here, since there is, the teacher is anonymous, and the teacher is anonymous for a particular reason, I'll talk about that shortly. The students are also anonymous. The first reason is so that we don't get sucked into a particular story and get distracted by the story. And the anonymity of the teacher and the students makes this teaching universal. This student could be me, who came to the wrong conclusion about Brahman. So this teacher also could be me. If I am ready to teach and if I know this, I could be this teacher. I could use these methodologies, these pedagogical tools, and I could deploy and teach effectively. I could copy this teacher. So this anonymity assures of the universality of this Brahman, and this is of this that is described as Shrotrasya Shrotram Chakshushaha Chakshuhu. That which is the ear of the ear, the eye of the eye, it is anonymous. Yaksha, what is Yaksha? Anonymous, nobody knew who he was, who it was. So Brahman is anonymous. Anonymous means what? Nobody knows. People know in general that there is such a thing, one knows, but then one doesn't know what the nature of that thing is. Like our stock example. What is our stock example? Rope snake. What else do we have? We have rope snake and pot and clay, that's all. So, stock, gold and ornament, another one. These are our stock examples. What was that? Water and wave. Yeah, that comes later. But first to pot and clay and first to rope snake. Always first entry into Vedanta is rope snake, and rope snake will be there forever because it is immortalized in the Upanishads, and in fact it becomes a dangerous example sometimes. In the Anekatti ashram, there was one brahmachari who had been hearing rope snake, rope snake, rope snake, and in front of his room there was a snake. He mistook it for a rope and he picked it up. First time, what happened? Snake, the snake turned into rope as though. Yeah, instead of rope turning into snake. Yeah, and then after that he ran. He didn't even know how to let go of it, because if he lets go, it will come after it. It will come after him. He had to be rescued. Fortunately, there were some people. But I don't think it was a biting snake. It was some kind of a tree snake, because it had camouflaged itself to look like a rope. And he needed some rope, and he just picked it up. So these are the hazards of this example. But anyhow, so the rope snake example, you see there is something lying there. That's why the example is always put in twilight. It's always set in twilight time, because you see something. It's in pitch dark, you can't mistake the rope for snake. Why? You see neither snake nor rope. You don't see either aropita vastu, or you don't see the adhishthana, the adhara, you don't see. Aropa also you don't see. And in bright daylight, what do you see? You see the adhara, you see the rope, but there is no mistake. Why? Because you see rope as rope. It's only in twilight, during dusk, where the vision is compromised, the light is very low, and you see something lying there having 2 or 3 bends. And the conclusion is wrong. What is the conclusion? This is snake. This is snake. That is the conclusion. So our stock example here illustrates a very important function, which is the important thing about Brahman, which is exemplified here in the teachings called Adhidaivatam, centered on the Devas. What is that? What does the rope snake imply? The rope snake is just like the Yaksha. I know something is there, but I do not know what it is. Therefore, I can come into many, many wrong conclusions. And so, same thing with I, Aham, Atma. Do I exist or not? Abba, yes. I do exist. How do you know you exist? You ask somebody? No. Did you phone a friend? No. I am here, I know. It is an existence without the need for ratification by yourself or others. It's a proofless existence, because it is a self-evident existence. In other words, it's a self-proven existence. If it is a self-proven existence, then you don't need any proof. And so here too, I know I am. This much everybody knows. It's just like seeing a form in the dark. Another stock example for this is sthanuhu eva purushaha. So, what is this? Somebody moves into a new neighborhood, looks out of the window, and there is one man standing like this in a threatening position. Again, it's twilight, it's dark. And this lady seeing out of the window says, "Oh my God, earlier also I saw him little half an hour ago. I thought he was part of the movers or something. Movers have gone, they have put the boxes and gone. This fellow is still there." What does she do? Call the police. The police shine the flashlight, and it's a stump of a tree with two branches like this. Stump of a tree is called sthanuhu. Sthanureva purushaha. So the man that she saw is what? Is the stump of the tree. The snake that one sees is just the rope. So like this, the I that one sees and one knows, of whose existence one knows, only it is partially known. I know I am. Do not ask the next question. What is the next question? Kosi. Yaksha's question. Who are you? Don't ask that. If you ask who are you, then I have to answer by saying, how much time do you have? From birth onwards, all my pains and sorrows I have to relate one by one. All the mommy issues, daddy issues, and God knows what else, how I scraped my knee when I was 4 years old, how I fell out of a tree when I was 8 years old, and how nobody even knew that I had fallen, and all these things I have to relate. How much time it will take? It will take a very, very, very long time. So what I know to be myself has two components. One is Sat, simple existence. Sat Chit, I know. Sat Chit is kind of known. I know, and when I say I am, I'm actually saying I know I am. I am Sat, my existence. How do you know you exist? I know, Chit. So, the I has, as the knowledge of the I, somehow I have divided into two components. This indivisible, non-dual I is known in a kind of a strangely divided way, as though divided way. Sat Chit is understood, Ananda or Anantyam of this Brahmatma, the foreverness of this Brahmatma, of this I, is not understood. Sat-Chit is understood. Yes, I am, I shine. I am self-evident. That much is understood. But if you ask what is the nature, then this Ananta, this source of all happiness, because what I want is for the forever. I don't want anything else other than the forever. That's why in every, even in the fourth marriage, the vows say what? This time it is forever. What about the other 3 times? Oh, don't talk about all that. Right now it is forever. Nobody is interested in the marriage. Nobody is interested in anything. What one is interested in is forever. And that's why even in India, like you say, I got a job. Even before the other person says congratulations, they will ask what? Is it permanent? You don't want the job, you want the permanence. Is it permanent? I bought a house. I moved into a new house. Is it yours? Do you own it? So therefore, one wants the forever. Because if it's a rented house, it can go anytime. You can get a eviction notice. The owners can say, we want to come and stay here, please go. Anytime they can say that. Every country except India, okay? In India, occupancy is 9/10 of ownership. So therefore, nobody gives the house for rent unless you really know the person. So, but anyhow, the forever is what is important. I'm not interested in anything else other than the forever, and the forever is in the form of the yaksha, that is forever elusive. In this Kenopanishad, the yaksha is forever elusive. Agni went near, could not find out who it is. Samanyena jnatam, knew that there is a yaksha, it is there for everybody to see. I exist is there for me to see and everybody to see. But the nature of this I, as Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, as the cause of the universe, as equated to the cause of the universe, is what? Unknown. One portion of the I is known, Satchit is known, Satyam Jnanam Anantam, Satchidananda is not known. And so, therefore, this yaksha symbolizes that very well. The adhara of this knowledge is myself alone. And over that adhara, there is aropa of various problems, situations. Just like the snake, the rope becomes a sitting duck to perceive the snake, which is not really there. The I becomes a sitting duck for all kinds of notions, anatma notions. I am an idiot. I am joins what? Idiot. Why? Because that's what everybody called me when I was small. I am joins idiot. I am joins the word incomplete. I am joins the word donkey. I am joins the word not good enough. I am joins the word want. I am a wanting person. I am a lacking person. These notions, the removal of these notions have to be effected before the knowledge shines on its own. This is another reason why the flash of lightning, yaksha here, and the teaching here is described as a flash of lightning, because when the pramana is there, when exposed to a correct means of knowledge, this knowledge has to take place. When the means of knowledge is there and then the object to be known is there, the knowledge cannot not take place. It has to take place. Like even the perception of the flower. If the flower is here and the eyes are open, even if I tell you, please do not look at the flower, if you are looking in this direction, what will you see? Flower, sight takes place. If I put this flower in front of my face and say, please look at the face but do not look at the flower, even if you have so much shraddha, you cannot oblige. So this is pramana prapta jnanam. This is the knowledge based on pramana, not eyes, but what? What is the pramana? Shabda. Words of the teacher. Who is the teacher here? Goddess Uma. Goddess Uma's words saying this is Brahman, that is the operation of the pramana, and so the Upanishad handled by the teacher makes it into a pramana. Otherwise it is aparavidya, as we have seen in the Mundakopanishad. It is Shabda Rashi, heap of words. The heap of words have to be activated by handling it, by being handled by the teacher, who learnt how to handle the pramana from his teacher, who learnt how to handle the pramana from her teacher, who learnt how to handle the pramana from his teacher, her teacher, all the way to Bhagavan. This is how it is known. And it's a flash, it disappears in a flash because you try to objectify it, and it's not an object. And also, it is known in a flash. If the readiness is there, if the pramana is there, it doesn't take time for the knowledge to take place. That's why the knowledge takes place immediately. But then, when I go outside of the classroom, brain fog descends, appears to descend. I understand everything clearly when I'm sitting in the classroom, but then when I go out, what was that? How was it again? The vagueness is there. Error is there. doubt is there. Why? This doesn't mean the knowledge has not taken place. Knowledge has taken place, but it is eclipsed by so many things in the mind. Doubts, fears, resistance, non-understanding, all these things. All that has to be removed by karma yoga, by meditation, etc. And then only the mind is, and by the cultivation of shama, dhamma, all these things we have seen, the preparatory, the way of gaining preparation. And in a prepared mind, as the mind gets more and more clear, the knowledge has a place to just sit. When that knowledge is shared, it transmitted, it stays because it is you. It cannot ever go away from you. Even if you don't know it, you are Brahman. Whether you know it or not, you already are Brahman. And then as the clarity grows, the doubts and everything come down. They become less and less. So therefore, this flash of lightning must not be taken to mean flash of enlightenment. Wrong understanding. This is not adhidaivatam. This is not the teaching centered on the devas at all. Flash of enlightenment. This is again our own spiritual romanticism. And then a lot of so-called, what are they called? Self-styled God men, God women celebrate what is called as Enlightenment Day. I was enlightened on the 1st of January. And at 2:41 p.m. they will write like this, and they will celebrate along with the followers. What do they celebrate? The so-called Enlightenment Day. Let us just use our logic a little bit. If enlightenment is an event that happens to the self, then we have to understand first what is an event. Does an event unfold in time? Is it time bound or is it not time bound? It is time bound, otherwise you won't call it an event. An event is where you go. Like today we have to go for a wedding, correct? It's an event. It's happening at a certain time. And if you go too late, it would have finished. So that means it is time bound. If enlightenment is an event that happens to a self that is what? Free of time, that means what? The timed event, quote unquote, happening to the timeless self doesn't make any sense. The self itself becomes time bound. So enlightenment cannot be a flash, cannot be an event. It is to be understood. First of all, that's why I don't like to use the word enlightenment. I very rarely use it except when I illustrate these kinds of situations. So self-knowledge has to be understood in the form of a growing clarity. The knowledge is immediate, like a flash. But the clarity comes in time. Why? Because the obfuscation also happens, the obfuscation is time bound, and the removal of obfuscation also happens in time. The self is ever shining. The self is ever shining. When the eclipse of wrong notions, when the eclipse of fears and tears and other blocks are removed, then the clarity is there. So, therefore, it happens, the knowledge takes place immediately, but it is a knowledge that is all too often riddled with doubts, errors, and vagueness. The cause of the doubts, the errors, and the vagueness is what? One's own notions. And those notions have to be removed. Because those notions cause mischief and they cause samsara. Ignorance does not straight away cause samsara. Otherwise, every dog would be a samsari. You go outside and walk, the dogs seem to be happier than the people. Yeah. Ignorance cannot cause samsara. Ignorance is not knowing. And lots of animals do not know. Dog does not know there is a spelling mistake in my name, it should be G-O-D. It doesn't know that. It doesn't know that. Cat does not know. Cow does not know. But then, this is ajnanam. Ajnanam is there, but the cause of samsara is what? Anyatha jnanam. Mandukya Karika talks about this at length. Anyatha jnanam means wrong understanding. If I don't know who I am, I'm ignorant, blissfully ignorant, because I don't even know I'm ignorant. When ignorance of ignorance is there, it is bliss. People happily go about, not people, mostly animals we are talking of. But this does not apply to human beings. That's why it is a special upadhi. In the human being, ignorance expresses itself as intolerance. I hate my ignorance. I have loath for my ignorance. I want to remove my ignorance immediately, even if it's the ignorance of the name of a restaurant that I ate at and I cannot recall. I just get very agitated. I have to immediately look it up on Google. What is that? What is that? What am I forgetting? How could I forget? But then this ignorance morphs into anyatha jnanam. Only in the human being, because the will is free enough to come to conclusions about what I am, which are all wrong. The removal of these notions is atma jnanam. That's what it is. So the anyatha jnanam causes samsara, and even though the knowledge is immediate, the notions may take time to go because they are well entrenched notions. This is what is the adesha to the devas. Next, let us see. Athadhyatmam yadetat gacchativa cha manah anena cha etad upasmarati abhikshanam sankalpah. Yeah, it is very vague. Lot of things we have to supply to understand. So, atha adhyatmam. Atha means atha adeshaha. We have to supply. Now the teaching. First the teaching centered on the devas, and now the teaching centered on I, the individual. So now the teaching is going to be presented. The Upanishad says, the teacher in the Upanishad says, centered on what? The individual, the jiva. And what does that look like? It is talked about yad etat, yad etat. So this illustration for the individual. And what is the illustration? Yad etat gacchati iva cha manaha. It looks like the mind goes very close, eva, as though. Close to what? Brahman. Just like Agni, Vayu, Indra, Nedishtam, Pasparshuhu, we saw that they went very close to Yaksha. But here the mind as though goes to Brahman. This as though is very interesting, this eva. Because the mind cannot objectify Brahman. We have to understand this. And we know this because that is the bread and butter of this entire Upanishad. If there is one takeaway from this Upanishad, what is that? Mind cannot objectify Brahman. It's not an object. It's not an object that you place on your altar. It's not an object that you see. It's not an object that you can categorically write down or describe. So this is the takeaway here. But then it seems to be paradoxical because here it is said what? Yadetat gacchati iva cha manaha. The mind as though goes near it. Two things we have to understand from this. First is that it is reflecting a very famous Brihadaranyaka Upanishad mantra, which simply says, Dhyayati iva, Lelayati iva. Dhyayati means what? Meditates. Iva, as though. So what meditates? The mind meditates. You sit down, make the mind also forcibly sit down to meditate, to have dhyanam. You force the mind to meditate, and then what happens to the mind? The mind is there, and what does the mind say? I am meditating. Yes, I'm going to be a good boy, good girl, whatever it is. And I'm going to say my mantra, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. And the mind then, what is the fourth thought? The fourth thought is not one more Om Namah Shivaya. The fourth thought is, see how nicely I'm meditating. So when that thought comes, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah... what a nice meditation this is. As soon as that thought comes, what happens to the meditation? Bhanga. Meditation bhanga. Dhyana bhanga takes place. Bhanga means it is a interruption. It is a cessation of meditation. As soon as the thought comes, what is the thought? What a wonderful meditator I am. What a wonderful meditation this is. Any such kind of a jati of thought, what does it do? It breaks the meditation. And then the mind says, Ayyo, I lost the meditation. I became distracted. I moved away from the meditation, the meditator says, or the mind says, or the meditation recognizes that the mind has moved away. See, we take this moving away seriously and then bringing it back, but the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad in this context points out that sitting it down to meditation is also as though going towards the object of meditation, Ishvara, and as though getting distracted from the object of meditation, which is again what? Brahman, Ishvara. Can you move away from Brahman? This should be a nice meditation to try. Instead of saying, let the mind be fixed on Brahman, people like to say, we should say what? Try moving away from Brahman. Where will you go? I'll go to the Ganga. Ganga is Brahman. Oh, I'll just take a dip inside the Ganga. Inside the Ganga is also what? Brahman. I'll just go sit in my room. Room is Brahman. I'll sit under my bed. Under the bed is also what? A place, and that place is what? Brahman. I'll go climb the tallest tree. Tree is Brahman. I'll go for a submarine ride under the ocean. What is that? Ocean is Brahman, and the notion that you can get away from this ocean, which is Brahman, is also what? Brahman. So therefore, you can never get away from Brahman. This is the thing. This is why the mind is as though going near and then frustrated as though coming back. Dhyayati iva, lelayati iva. So when we shine the light of the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, this becomes very, very clear. So beautiful it is. It becomes very, very clear when we shine the light of that Upanishad on this Upanishad. And this is the method of the Upanishad in any case. Because if the Upanishad quotes, where else will it quote from? It will quote from another Upanishad, that's all. These are the primary texts to understand oneself as limitless. And so here, atha adhyatmam, now the teaching on the self means the individual, jiva has begun, centered on the individual has begun. Yadetat gacchati ivacha manaha. Gacchati ivacha manaha. And then cha etad upasmarati abhikshanagam sankalpaha. Very, not easy to understand because lot of words are missing, we have to supply. So this much we have to understand first. Yadetat gacchati iva manaha. The mind as though goes towards Brahman, trying to say, now I am doing Shravanam. And in the middle of the Shravanam, what happens? A thought comes. Did I lock my room? And then what happens to the mind? As though goes away from Brahman. So in the Shravanam scenario of the classroom, what is being talked about is Brahman. And when the mind goes away to the thought whether the room is locked or not, then it feels like the mind has gone away. But the reality is that room is Brahman, lock is Brahman. And the person who is wondering whether I locked the room or not is also what? Brahman. This we have to understand. So this is the first part of the Adhyatma Adesha, meaning what you are trying to get, it is already you. The seeker is already the sought. Relax. What is this frenzy? Relax means what? It's not that you stop coming to the teaching. You know, okay, teacher told me to relax, so I am not going to come to the 11 o'clock class. Okay. You only told me to relax. No, relax means mentally relax rather than trying to grasp on or hold on to this concept of Brahman, which is not a concept, it is you. If you catch hold of the concept, you become an academic, really. And what is that good for? To write some articles. That's all it is. You write one PhD thesis, and then after that what happens, you know? It is invalidated by another PhD thesis. Yeah, that's all happens. This is not for the sake of academic excellence that we are pursuing this Upanishad. The message of this Upanishad is to be free, is for ourselves to be free. And to be free, what we have to understand is that the mind is as though going, even when I am pursuing Brahma Vidya, the mind is as though going towards the Vidya, meaning what? That the mind is Brahman, Vidya is Brahman, that's why the going is as though. There is nowhere for the mind to go. It's already abiding in Brahman. This has to be understood. This is the first part of the mantra. Then what is given is a sadhana. What is given is the what to do to make this easier. Cha etat upasmarati iti upasmarati abhikshanam. Abhikshanam means always. Sankalpaha means here not will but the message of the Upanishad. What is the message of the Upanishad? Satyam Jnanam Anantam Tvam Tat Tvam Asi. That sankalpa, that message is the only sankalpa, because every other sankalpa, the intention the mind makes is dismissed. I think I'll go have a coffee. And then what? By the time you go to the coffee shop, you have a stomach ache. Okay, bye coffee. And or no stomach ache, but some message comes, and then you can't have coffee because the mood is off. Mood is offy, therefore there is no coffee. So therefore, like this, so many things are there. Every day you make a sankalpa, hundreds of sankalpa, and even before they come to be, they are dismissed or they die away on their own because they are not strong enough. But the sankalpa of all sankalpas is what? This sankalpa. This teaching here is this Brahman is the ultimate truth. Is the ultimate truth which cannot be sidetracked, cannot be improved upon by another sankalpa. What will you say? Instead of I am the whole, oh, I have a better sankalpa. What is a better sankalpa than I am the whole? I am full of holes. That's the only other sankalpa you can make. I am not the whole. That's the only sankalpa you can make. So the teaching of the Upanishad, which is the final sankalpa, which is the unchanging sankalpa here, is pointed out, and this the mind always is enchanted and goes towards, but whether the mind goes towards the knowledge or away from the knowledge, the mind is still what? Brahman. This has to be understood. Then here in the middle, cha etat upasmarati. Upasmarati means recognizes. Smarati here doesn't mean remembers. Smru to remember. No, here smarati means, upasmarati means closely cognizes, recognizes. How does the mind recognize Brahman? Not as an object. Here we have to repeat what we studied in the verse Pratibodha Viditam Matam. What did we study there? The process by which cognition of objects and cognition of subject takes place and how it is different. In the cognition of objects, there is a two-part operation. What is the first part? First part is, first let us have a little show and tell. Yeah. So, first part is, as soon as I say the word pot, there is a pot that is born where? In your head. There is a head pot and then there is a hand pot, which is in my hand. So the head pot is already there, and suppose you did not know which pot I was going to show, you thought last time she tricked us, I bet you this time also she will show us this pot. So maybe the head had a big pot. There was a big pot in the head. As soon as I said the word pot, as soon as I opened the magic basket, you saw the pot, you saw your own pot, and then when I showed this pot, there is a cognition adjustment. First, the pot is cognized in the head. This is called vritti vyapti. The pot is a thought. When I say pot, even before I show the pot, how do you understand pot? As a thought. The word pot enunciated by me is understood by you as a thought. What kind of thought? Pot thought. So the pot becomes pot vritti. Pot vritti, vritti means thought, mental modification. So the pot becomes a pot vritti, and this pot vritti happening in the mind is called vritti vyapti. The whole mind is flooded by the pot, your ishta pot. Big pot, small pot, metal pot, gold pot, clay pot, all kinds of pots flood the mind. Vritti vyapti. This is the first operation, the first level of operation in the knowledge of objects. Then what? Then when this pot is shown, it's as though in this case the sense organs, in this case the eyes, go out and then embrace the pot. Embrace the pot and bring the knowledge of the pot so that I can identify as the knower of the pot, the recognizer of the pot. That's why it is recognition, first cognition. That is vritti vyapti, the recognition that this is a pot in relation to me, the mind, becoming what? Knower. Identifies as the knower, and this naturally becomes what? Ayyo. If the mind is knower, what is this? Known. Yeah, keep it simple. Yeah. So, no need to get all highfalutin and Vedantic. Yeah. Knower, known. This is what happens. The mind is the knower. Mind becomes the knower in relation to that which is known. And what is it that is going and wrapping itself around the pot? The eyes are not going. Consciousness through the eyes is going. Nana chidra ghatodara sthita maha deepa prabha bhaswaram. This is the, what is that? Dakshinamurti Stotra. Like a big pot over which a pot with many holes is covered, and inside this pot you place a lamp. Let's say the covering pot has 5 holes. How many lamps are there? 1 lamp, but through the 5 apertures you see 5 beams of light in the form of the 5 pramanas, you can say, or in the form of the 5 sense organs. Nana chidra, many holes. Ghata udara, the stomach of the pot has many, many holes. Deepa prabha bhaswaram, 1 light as though gets morphed into many, many lights depending upon the number of apertures, holes. In the same way, this is the illustration, in the same way, jnanam, consciousness, that nameless, formless consciousness assumes the form of the eyes, assumes the form of the ears, as though travels to the object and wraps itself around the object and brings back the information, leading the ahankara to assume agency of the knowledge and rebrand itself as the knower. And if I am the knower, what is this? Known. So you see how the knower-known divide happens in the second operation. The second operation makes me into an agent of the knowledge, and then the agent of what knowledge? Of the object. This is object, I am the agent, I know pot. I can feel good, I can say, yay, I know pot. Because the knower is, now the ahankara is identified as knower. Very nice. So this is the operation in every cognition of each and every object without fail. So first is vritti vyapti, the pot in the form of a thought floods the mind, pot or any object, doesn't matter. The object in the form of a thought floods the mind, and then the second operation is the recognition, the ratification of the object using the appropriate sense organs and wrapping itself around that particular object as it were, bringing back the information. And when the information is brought back, not only is the pot or whatever the object is known, I am rebranded as a knower. I reclaim my identity in relation to the pot as the agent of this knowledge of the pot, so I recognize the pot. This is the operation, these twofold operations. First one, vritti vyapti. Second one, phala vyapti. The phala of the knowledge is what? My recognition of the pot. What am I in relation to this pot? Knower of the pot. Trich has come, ER. ER means what? Agent. It's an agent suffix, trich. And here in English, trich is what? ER. In Sanskrit it is TR. In English it is ER. Knower, hearer, seer. That ER is Atma. That is what is constant. That the suffix is the substantive here. By a very interesting irony, the suffix is what is constant. What is constant is Atma. And so here, so these two operations are anivarya, meaning compulsory for every cognition, has to happen using these two cognitions, except the cognition of myself, except the cognition of Brahman. That's why this is Adhyatma. It is deeply and intimately connected to my knowing Brahman. So one presents oneself for Shravanam, listening. Why? Because I cannot know by myself. I know. How do I know? After several unsuccessful attempts as trying to get Brahman as an object, going from ashram to ashram, and then going from one kind of philosophy to another kind of philosophy, going from one karma to another karma, I am left, what? Without any knowing. Therefore, I say, I need help and present myself into a classroom ready for Shravanam, ready to listen to this knowledge. And in the listening, what happens? The teacher talking about Brahman, transmitting this knowledge, the teacher talks about Brahman as Nirguna, free of attributes, as the truth of yourself. And you are whole, you are without a second, you are Nitya, Shuddha, Buddha, Mukta Atma. You are that which is ever free. You are that who is always present. You are that which is never absent. You are that consciousness which is the cause of the universe. Like this, when the teacher speaks, what happens in the mind of the students? Vritti vyapti takes place. The mind is flooded with Brahman understanding. And I am seeing this, and then what is the vritti that is vyapta? What is that pervasive vritti? It is called Brahmakara vritti. A vritti which is in the form of, ironically, formless Brahman. That formless Brahman, in the form of this thought, is transmitted from the mouth of the teacher to the ear of the student. And then what happens? An aha moment takes place. Ha! This Brahman, oh, yes, I think I got it. This is called Brahmakara Vritti or Akhandakara Vritti. Vritti Vyapti takes place. And then what about the second part of the operation? First of all, what is its name? Phalavyapti. Knowing this as an object and knowing myself in relation to the object as the knower, pramata, jnata. That is missing in Brahman knowledge. Why? Because it is not an object and I am not the knower. Very simple. So only first part of the operation is needed to know Brahman as myself. The second part of the operation is redundant because Brahman need not be objectified and also it cannot be objectified. If I say it cannot be objectified, people feel sad. Oh, I wish I could objectify Brahman. You don't have to objectify. Why? Because it is you. Whatever is said about Brahman in the Vritti Vyapti level of operation strikes as yourself. You being the subject matter of this knowledge, there is nothing more to say, nothing more to do, nowhere to go, nothing more to know. So ironically, it is knowledge without a knower. That's why any Brahmajnani of worth anything will not say, I know Brahman. Because they will know that saying that means what? Declaring their ignorance. I know Brahman means what? I am the knower. No, I am Brahman. Sarvam khalvidam Brahma. Everything that is here is indeed Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. It's a knowledge that is owned, but the ownership is not a relationship of the knower known. It cannot be a possessive relationship. I have this knowledge. This knowledge is mine. No, there is no me. It's a knowledge, it knocks off the knower. Why? Because the Vritti Vyapti knocks off every identity, including I am the knower. I am an idiot, I am lacking, I am wanting, I am not free, I am bound, therefore I have come to the ashram, everybody else seems to be understanding, I am the only one not understanding. All this is knocked off along with the concept, I am the knower. Along with the notion, I am the knower. That's why this knowledge is unlike any other knowledge. Because in every branch of knowledge, the knower is kept intact, nurtured, crowned, enthroned. Aha, I got this knowledge. That same catch, kill, eat mentality that one had in a previous life as a big cat continues. Even for Brahman knowledge. That's why many people go away without understanding Brahman, because this crucial understanding is not there at all. It's just not there. What is that? Because Phalavyapti need not take place, cannot take place. The second operation, knowing this as an object, cannot happen. Why? Because there is no more knower. When I understand I am Brahman, I am the whole. There is no more knower that is separate from Brahman. There is no more known separate from Brahman. Knower is the content of the knower is Brahman. The truth of the known is Brahman. That Brahman which is free of being either knower or known, as though morphs as the owner, knower, as though morphs as the known, without being either. This has to be understood. Oh my God, now I understand, but how to do this? Nididhyasana is advised. Abhikshanam. Abhikshanam means how long to do this nididhyasana. Nididhyasana means contemplating upon the words of the Upanishad which I already know. So this is a prescription, like a doctor's prescription. Doctor will say, please take this pill 3 times a day. And they will write 10 days. So if this is a prescription, it behooves me to ask how many times I should meditate and for how long I should meditate. Taking a pill is not a happy affair. You have to deal with the side effects. You don't know whether the pill is effective or not. You don't know so many things. And you're just waiting for the antibiotic course to be over. You're waiting for it to be over. But here, Nididhyasanam, even though it's a cure for habitual orientations of all kinds, is not a chore. It is a cure, all right, but it is not a chore. It is not a chore that you have to do and you have to ask how long I have to do seva. That you can ask. Yeah, till April 16th. Okay? You can do seva till April 16th. I can tell you, there is a time-boundedness quality. After that, you can go home and you can dream about shaking the rug in the Adhishthanam and a photo gallery and all this, but you don't have to do it. Okay? But Nididhyasanam is not a chore. You don't have to search for where are the cleaning things. How come I didn't get how come I did not get a tutorial how to clean? How come I did not get the cleaning instruments? Where are they? How I have to look? I'm all alone here. I have to just look for them. Where are they kept? How do I get them? All these things you don't have to do anymore. Because April 16th, everything finishes. 17th, graduation from the 3-month course. And so therefore, this I can tell you how long you have to do, because seva, even though I'm sure all of you are doing with a very glad heart, some days it's like, especially when this heat is there, just feel like going and lying down and what, I have to do this now. But with Nididhyasanam, that feeling is not there. Because if you understand Brahman, then only you can do Nididhyasanam. The Nididhyasanam is to see, chewing the cud of the Upanishads. The grasses of the Upanishad were grazed in a hurry, and just like the